Herbs. A large group of versatile plants that packs in more flavor per square inch than any other. And while many of the woody perennial types give us their aromatic bounty year-round, such as this time here, the warm weather lush ones are but a distant memory. But they don't have to be. Fast to germinate and even faster to flourish, herbs and growing indoors are a match made in heaven. Very rarely do our crops fare better indoors than they do outside. But in the case of some herb varieties, they just seem built for the cushy indoor life. So today, I've picked out my top 5 herbs to grow indoors. Hey, with the weather still doing its thing outside and spring a long ways off, it's nice to keep our thumbs green and productive no matter what the season. Herbs, by definition, are a widespread group of edible aromatic plants used mostly for garnish and flavoring. They may be annual, perennial, leafy, or woody. And although botanically the term herbaceous refers to plants that lack a rigid woody stem, staples like thyme and this rosemary here are still included. Generally, it's the leaves that are consumed, either fresh or dried, but seeds and flowers of some herb varieties are sought after. I think we can all agree that gardening without herbs would be a tasteless, flavorless endeavor, and one that I'd want no part of. The beauty of herbs is that for the most part, they're all really super easy to grow. Sure, some of the perennial types establish themselves as beacons of productivity, withstanding all the seasons and all that Mother Nature can throw at them. But for as much as we're thankful for those all-weather stalwarts, it's the fast-growing lush types that catch our eye today. Soft-stemmed and even softer-leaved beauties that, while fleeting in the summer months, can be teased to new heights indoors year-round. And so we get our collection of indoor herbs. Sown, germinated, cared for, and harvested all indoors. These select crops not only tolerate growing indoors, but they seem to thrive on it. Growing more lush, faster, more reliably, not to mention pest-free and slower to bolt, means that an indoor herb garden can be some of the most productive crops you'll ever grow. Most herbs, especially the ones we're discussing here today, like this young cilantro here, are planted and grow readily from seed. In fact, all you need to get started for a new indoor herb garden is a container that freely drains water, moist soil, and the seed itself. No special lights, fertilizers, or crazy expensive setups are necessary, as the seeds themselves only require moisture and a moderate amount of heat to sprout. I say heat because even though all the herbs we're going to talk about today grow readily at room temperatures, or even below, even this basil here, you're going to have far better sprouting success if the soil is warm when you plant them. With herbs, between 80 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit seems to be the ideal range for both germination speed and success rate. I put mine on a dedicated heat pad, but lights or even a sunny windowsill can work as well. For planting, some seeds are sown quite dense, like cilantro and arugula, while others grow best as single plants that are pruned off later for bushiness, like basil. Regardless of density, most herb seeds are planted very shallow, within about 1/4 of an inch of the surface. That can make it pretty tough sometimes to keep the soil moist for the entire duration of germination, so check out this little trick here. Immediately after you've sown the seeds, take a square of paper towel, fold it up, place it on top of the soil, and wet it. Then, every couple of days or so, continue to keep it wet. I'll leave that paper towel on until well after the seeds have sprouted and they begin pushing it up. Really, it's an ingenious technique that literally works every time. For an in-depth look at how I use it for all my herb seeds, check out the video in the top right corner. After about 1 to 2 weeks post-germination, which is where we're at with this dill right now, you're going to start to see your herbs get their true leaves. Now, we know that they've got little roots established, so we can start watering them from above. Indoor life can have a drying effect on plants, especially ones like these lush herbs. But still, we never want to overwater. So, generally, I water about once a week or so. Less if I can manage it. Now, once your herbs get 2 to 3 sets of true leaves, we can start thinking about selectively harvesting them. Just take what you need and leave the rest of the plant to keep growing. In the case of some herbs like basil, it's actually preferable to remove the entire top nodes when you're harvesting. This is going to cause the main plant to bush out, becoming even more productive in subsequent harvests. Now, basil is pretty unique in this aspect. For most of the other herbs, you're just going to be selectively harvesting the leaves. And in fact, if done correctly, most herbs can be harvested over and over, all their life, provided that some leaves are left on to sustain the plant. So if given enough light and selectively harvested, indoor herbs can easily bridge the gap between the last ones harvested in the summer and next spring's plantings. For me, I've been growing herbs indoors for about 10 years now, and I've found that for many of them, growing them indoors is actually easier, no matter what time of the year it is. Certainly, it's the case with the 5 herbs that I've picked out for today. And even though it's great to be growing fresh herbs indoors when the weather is miserable and cold outside, year-round indoor herb growing is never out of the question. Pretty much all herbs can be grown indoors. Light, water, soil, and nutrient requirements are ubiquitous between the indoors and the outside. But a select few are absolutely going to thrive in an indoor setup, and the first of those is basil. There's a reason that basil is offered year-round as a live plant in grocery stores. Once established, basil absolutely loves the indoor life, requiring nothing special from us, yet flourishing when its minimal needs are met. And although it's easy to grow from seeds, it's even easier to grow from itself. As a member of the mint family, basil cuttings readily root themselves in just water. Timed right, basil cuttings can be started and staggered for a near infinite supply of this pesto powerhouse. If there's one plant to get your indoor herb career started, it's gotta be basil. Another herb that's really easy to grow indoors that's virtually foolproof are chives. No question, these mini green onions are super hardy outdoors, and I try to plant them everywhere I can, but there's a certain sweet satisfaction when growing a new batch of chives indoors. Once harvested, the sprouts keep coming back, giving you a continuous supply of fresh chives weekly. One of the big daddies of summer herbs that people don't often grow indoors is dill. Easily growing over 2 feet tall if left unchecked, dill is a super pungent herb that's grown for its foliage as well as its seeds. Indoors, dill sprouts readily, and it can be grown as a blanket of lush new sprouts like I've done here, or as singular large plants. With these guys, you want to give them lots of light and definitely don't overwater. Space-wise, they're also a bit particular, and you're going to want to give them at least 4 to 6 inches of soil depth. As your dill plants get older, that foliage may begin to wane, especially after multiple harvests. It's not going to hurt them to give them a low dose of liquid plant food to keep them going. At number 4, we have an often debated herb, and that's arugula. Sometimes considered a lettuce, I firmly stand on the side of this guy being a true herb. Also known as rocket, this peppery superfood is bursting with vitamins and minerals. You gotta grow this one. And indoors, arugula is a cinch. Sow them quite dense and begin harvesting when there's about 2 to 3 sets of true leaves. Selectively cut the biggest leaves first, and if given enough light and weekly watering, arugula can easily produce for you all winter long. Finally, rounding out my top 5 list of herbs to grow indoors, we've got cilantro. Also known as coriander, cilantro is built for life indoors. It germinates best at the highest range of temperatures, but once growing, this subtropical plant is shockingly tolerant of cooler temperatures. I've tested it, and for short bursts, it'll even grow below freezing. Given plenty of light and not overwatered, your cilantro is going to grow fast and produce the most amazing lush foliage for multiple harvests. Unlike your basil, however, cilantro cannot be top harvested and expected to grow back, because it won't. It needs to be selectively harvested to keep it going. So, for multiple harvests, select the largest leaves only, leaving at least 1/3 of the plant intact after every harvest. Like dill, cilantro is also grown for its amazing aromatic seeds. But indoors, that's a bit of a tough sell without proper pollination. Even still, as long as it doesn't taste like soap to you, cilantro has got to be one of the top herbs on your list to grow indoors. Herbs. Synonymous with the bounties of summer and the lush productivity in our gardens. Without much effort or cost, we can reproduce that same level of growth, that same level of productivity by enjoying fresh herbs indoors year-round. While this list is by no means the only herbs that you can grow indoors, if you're looking for an easy-to-grow crop with the biggest bang for your buck, well, it's pretty hard to find a better choice. Hey, happy growing, guys. Hey, thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate the support more than you know. And if you're getting value from these videos, please like and share them to spread the word and help your fellow gardener to grow better.